My first race was when I was 53 years old. So that's a really interesting story. We were in St. Thomas, we had a business over in St. Thomas. And one day my husband goes, let's go watch Iron Man on St. Croix. And I went, what's Iron Man? I was like, he goes, well, it's a race where they swim, bike, and run. And I went, okay. So we get over there, we take the fast ferry, we get over there at 11:30 in the morning. It is so hot you can hardly breathe, the humidity and the heat. And, people are running around riding bikes and running, and, we kind of walked around, looked at everything, and in triathlon they put your age on your calf. So you know how old everybody is that's in the race. And we're standing at the finish line at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and this guy, 70 years old, comes over the finish line in this brutal heat, in this brutal environment, and it's so hot. And I thought, he's 70 years old. We can do this, right? It's only 70.3 miles. Of course, neither of us could swim or, we run 6 miles, never run 13 ever. And, we would bike 15 miles and think we were pretty badass. But we thought, how hard could this be? So we hacked around for a year and trained ourselves. That was really exciting. Had no idea what we were doing. And we went back and we completed the race. Hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And we couldn't even move after the race. And 3 days later, we're on the internet looking for a coach. I came back to Los Angeles, I bought a time trial bike, and I have been focused ever since. It was just like, it was that one thing of where never thought I'd do anything. We just wanted to do the race. Coming over that finish line was such a huge accomplishment. At that point, that is what I was going to do. It was like sort of my life mission at that point. It was pretty interesting. Well, a typical training session is, you can't really have a typical training session when you do what we do. Because we train for the bike, we train for the swim, we train for the run. And sometimes we train all three together. So in the beginning, when I first started, we were just trying to be able to go ride our bikes so we could ride for 56 miles. It's a really good question. How challenging is it balancing family, work, and social life? Fortunately, I have no children. Fortunately, I work for myself. And so when I started in triathlon, I was getting up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, getting my workouts done, going to work, working out afterwards. And then on the weekends, that's just what we did. I mean, we rode bikes and we swam, and the life just started revolving around, because we loved what we were doing. I mean, we were having so much fun riding and running, and we were meeting new people, and everybody was very excited about this sport because it's very challenging. I mean, it's not impossible to do, but it's a fun game, and you're outside and you get space and you have friends, and part of training is to all discuss how much everybody suffered after you're done, not during, while that's an unspoken word. You never talk about how bad you feel, but afterwards, right? That's what we do. So I never thought, how long am I going to compete? I never thought about, I never looked at myself as ever getting old. I mean, that's really, but I do like the fact that I'm old, because then I can make the younger people in my club feel, bad when they're like being girls about, trying to get up a hill. And it's like, you know, it's like this is a tough sport. You need to have the mental viewpoint, and you can't be a freaking girl. I'm sorry if I'm using the word girl, but that, you know what I mean? You gotta be tough. You're either tough or you're not gonna make it. And so, yeah, my age is not a problem. I'm not the fastest guy in my club, but I'm the one who, no matter what, will not back off. I just won't. I never not finish a ride, never not finish a race, except for one race when I was in my early years, and I didn't know about nutrition, and I got a cramp in my foot so bad when we were racing in St. Croix from the heat and humidity that I thought my foot was broken. It was because I didn't have enough electrolytes. You know, life lessons on nutrition. That was one.
I hear you.
Yeah. Okay, so this right here was from my actually my second triathlon where I actually qualified for the World Half Ironman Championship. And that was like super fun. I was so new, I really didn't even know what I was getting into. This right here is like, this is the American Triple T. I've done this 4 times, or actually 3 times. We were going to do it 4 times, but it got canceled last year. This is a race that is 4 races in 3 days. Little mini sprint triathlon, day 1, 2 Olympic distances, day 2, half Ironman, day 3. That's it. That's a weekend. I mean, I'm not saying, and it's hard. The bike is hard, the run is hard, the swim is in the lake, and then you're swimming when you get out of the water on the second race of the day, and it was bike and then swim, and so you're so cramped you can hardly get out of your wetsuit. That's always there's always excitement in triathlon, is what I'm saying. This one was from Powerman. It was from the World Championship duathlon in Switzerland. And it was so hard. It was like a 6-mile run, all hilly, and then a 90-mile bike, and then an 18-mile hilly run. Anyway, that was super, super fun. And I won my age group. And I was with Team USA, so I felt really good about that. And then, geez, I've done so many different stuff. I mean, this one right here was from Nice of 2019. That was right before I went to the World Championship in Kona, which is this one, which is in the world of triathlon. Kona is the Super Bowl. Kona is where so many people want to get to, and it's like such an honor to go to Kona. It's the worst race ever. It is like so hard. And it's like, I mean, I can see why it's the World Championship, because it's like so hard. It's the hardest race I've ever done. And so anyway, so all of these, this is kind of by year of all the crap that I would do in a year, the half marathons we'd run, and that was just a lot. It's like I've done so many races that I don't really remember all the stuff. I'd have to go through each one and go, oh, this was Nautica. This is when we were not doing a race. We were doing like an Olympic distance, but most of these are running races. Most of, and it's kind of by year, so I've just got a bunch for, so I've just done a lot of races. They all melt into once. Because I started racing in 2006 was my first race. We're now in 22. How many years is that? In that 18 years of racing. So at this point, there's just I've acquired a lot of hardware. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. This started with my first race in 2006. And then 2007, followed by the World Championship that I got into by winning a slot from the second half Ironman I ever did. And then right around here is all chronological order of the races that I've done. This last year with COVID, we because we train, it's like having something to train for. We were like putting on our own little races. We were, doing our own training, creating our own games. But I just went into my first race since, October of 2019, and it's really fun to have everybody else be doing that for me. So I just show up, pay my money, show up, and the buoys are there in the water that I can follow. The course is marked. And then you have aid stations on the run every mile. I mean, it's just, I like that. When we were putting on our own races, that was a lot of work for me. I had to race and I'd put on the race, right? That's not like my ideal thing, but it was great because it kept a lot of people really engaged. During the COVID, when it was, people needed to be engaged. They didn't need to be sitting, eating, and watching TV. Changes to the lifestyle from what I used to do to what I do now, everything kind of, is not like I can go out, I have to like watch what I eat if I have a heavy training day. It's not like I can go out and stay up late at night. I have to, if want to have a piece of cake and I have a big heavy training day the next day, yeah, that's not gonna happen. And you get way more disciplined because triathlon takes time to train for. You have to have time to swim, you have to have time to run, you have to have time to bike. And then now you have people that can barely eke out a half an hour workout a day. And now you're eking out, on the weekends, sometimes you're on, 4 or 5 hour rides. Or you're, training, you're swimming in the morning and running at night. So you have to totally rearrange how you look at life and how you do life. And it's interesting because triathlon is basically about learning how to survive. You survive. That is, surviving becomes a very key point in triathlon, because there was times where you're prepared for a race and you do fine, and there's times you were prepared for a race and you go in and do a race and you don't do so fine, and you never know when that's going to happen, right? So I learned the nutrition is a huge part of it, and that's one of the things I try to help people with that they don't really get until they're out there and things aren't working right. And it's usually the nutrition. Sometimes it's the fitness, but it's usually the nutrition. And, when stuff goes off the rail in triathlon, it goes really off the rail. So, like you're cramped, or you're throwing up, or you just can't move, or you're dizzy, or you're disoriented. That stuff does not have to happen. Your nutrition isn't dialed in. It only takes 1 or 2 times for them to understand what I have been telling them. So my nutrition, that's one of the first things that we did. We really worked on the nutrition. We'd go on a 25, 30 mile ride and I'd be so tired. And then we found recovery drinks, right, which are really made to help endurance athletes, which is what we are. And once we started drinking those, you go on a 25, 30, up to 50 on more ride, and you drink your recovery drink, and it's like, sometimes you just continue on, and you don't even know that you've been on your bike for 5 hours. It just doesn't register.
Okay.
Just what you do. Well, and that's another funny thing. The body likes to be at rest. The body likes to be fed, likes to be at rest, and likes to just kind of hang. So when you start pushing it and, going beyond limits it wants to go in, you start getting your knees hurt, your back will hurt, or, some of the stuff like getting headaches or being dizzy is nutrition related. But the injuries that I've had, are all pretty much handled with chiropractic care, acupuncture. I don't go see regular doctors because I see doctors that will keep my body going, nutritionists. I did have one bad injury in '07, which was like totally my fault. A lot of times when people fall on their bikes and something happens, it's usually their fault. And it's like I was not aware of what my front brake and my back brake was, right? And I was in a pace line of about 20 people, and somebody got squirrely in front of me, and I hit my, front brake really hard, and over I went, and I'm like out cold on the dam, bleeding and freaking out all the guys that I was riding with, which then I felt really bad about, because what an idiot I am for like not knowing my equipment, and so. But I've had other friends that, I have one of my most favorite stories is my friend who, we turned and there was a bunch of us, and he decides in his mind that he is now in the Tour de France, and the city sign that says City of Azusa is his sprint points. He's going for the sprint points, and he mashes down on his bike, loses his arm on the bike, hits the
That's it.
Okay. So what happened was when I went over my bike, my sunglasses broke and went through my lip, right? And I didn't see any of this, but I was knocked out, and I just remember waking up, and I never saw myself, so I don't know. I woke up, and and there's all these people around me, and it's like I came to and go, oh, I better it was interesting because I thought I can't move. I need to readjust myself, because it's like I knew I was okay, but me and my body were not quite in sync yet, right? And I had no idea how much injury or what was happening. I was probably glad I didn't see me.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there. So when I went down on the dam, basically I'd hit my brake and the bike came over me, and that's the last thing I remember is the back wheel coming over. And the next thing I knew I was laying on the dam, and apparently right here my sunglasses broke and went right through my lip, and I had like bruises here and all kinds of road rash. And I never really knew what was wrong until then they're calling in a plastic surgeon to sew me up when I was in the hospital. And my poor husband comes and sees me, and it's like, I don't know what I look like. I don't actually want to know what I look like. And anyway, but yeah, and then I had like a big old scar there, and it's faded over the years. But yeah, I was like lucky that it didn't poke out my eye or something. So going into race day some people are really prepared. They go through the race course, all that. I usually get up there a couple days before, because I just need to be in the space. I need to feel the space. I kind of know I don't need to see the bike course, because if it's a really hard bike course, I don't need to know about it. Some people need to know. I'm on a need to know basis, because I got to do it anyway. The swim is, you've got to do the swim, so I kind of have a general idea of where I'll be swimming. And then the run, and the courses are really, really well marked. So do I prepare? The most preparing I do is before the race, to make sure that I have my nutrition. I make sure if it's a cold race that I'm dressed for the cold. If it's a hot race, I'm dressed for the hot. And then I have the nutrition I need to get me through how many ever hours I'm out there.
Good.
Oh, it has to be the finish line. I mean, the finish line is a big deal because it's like the culmination of how many hours you've been out there, all the obstacles you've had to overcome in order to go through that finish line. And but you know, really what my favorite part is, all in all, I have one part that is my most unfavorite, and that's waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, knowing that you're in for a hard day. But once you get started, once that gun goes off, it's just, you know, business as usual. You've trained, you've done the work, and now you're just executing. So it's all kind of fun. This is my race bike. This is a triathlon bike. So what kind of sets off a triathlon bike is that you have it so when you're sitting on it, you can pretty much lay on it like this, so you have aerodynamics.
That's it.
I shouldn't have looked at you. Okay. One of the things about a tri-bike is they're set up geometry-wise so it's easier for you to get off and run. So it doesn't work as much of your legs as a regular bike does. And it also gives you more aerodynamics because you can sit in your aero bars, and when you're riding, you know, like 50, 100 miles, it's actually pretty comfortable, you know, once you get used to it. And because you do have to get used to it, because your shoulders have to get used to the position of this. And we always wear a helmet. You never ride without a helmet because you never know. I mean, stuff happens really fast on the bike. But this bike is made by a company called Diamond in Des Moines. I was just there. That's where their headquarters are. And it's fast. But this is one of 11 bikes that I have. Which are my favorite bikes? Not this one. This one is a really good race bike, and that's what it's designed to do. My favorite bikes are my road bikes, where I have bikes that are geared for climbing, so I can, like, you know, we're doing a climbing ride tomorrow. It's going to be 3,000 feet of climbing in the first 10 miles. So it's like, that's a lot of up and down in a very short amount, and a road bike does it really well. These ones don't handle as well as cornering and things like that. These are meant to go straight, but this is a pretty amazing bike when you're in a race, just to get out and get it done. And it's really comfortable and it's really fast, but it's not my favorite. What inspires me to motivate others is just the sense of seeing people win. You know, when you can see a guy that, you know, struggles, and all of a sudden you're helping him and he's winning and he's doing better in his life and things are going right, and, you know, he has, instead of become the effective life, he's now at cause in life. It's like a whole, you know, it's like when you can change somebody's life to live life better for themselves, that's huge. That's really, you know, what inspires me to keep doing what I do. It's been amazing. I mean, there is no better anything than when somebody goes, you know, comes up to me and goes, you know, Linda, it wasn't for you, would have never gotten through this, and, you know, I would have never challenged myself. You know, I think I could do it. You pushed me along, and here I've accomplished this. I mean, you know, that's what I live for, right? And you can get other people to have wins in life. It is like just, I mean, they're just isn't anything better. So this season, so I just got done with a half Ironman in Des Moines, which was really fun. It was really hard. The run was really hot, and the swim was really miserable. It's like, it's like you look at a race and you go, oh yeah, that was like the worst race. My swim was like probably one of my slowest swims. No wetsuit, that's a big deal. Felt like lead in the water. The bike was amazing, but they shortened it because of the storm. They had to start the race late. And then the run was excruciatingly hot. It's like I got sick to my stomach a little bit when I first started. That never happens. And you know what I mean? And then you just get done. You get done with the race and it's like, that was awesome. It's like, that was so awesome. Now I can't wait to do the next one. It's like, it must be like, I've never had kids, but it must be like having a baby. I will never do that again. And then like the next day you're signing up for another race because it was so awesome. So my next race is Salem, Oregon. It's a new race, a new half Ironman that they just put on the calendar. And that's on July 25th. And then we have Ironman California. So it would be my first Ironman since I did the World Championship in October of 19.
Thank you.
Yeah.